In case you missed it, last time we built a guard and a heavy-duty work surface. This time we have a shifter lifter sidecar, Fender, belt tracker, VFD. Whew. All these things we need to get done before we can fire this baby up. So let's get to it. We got the table complete. This thing turned out awesome. The next step we got to do is be able to lift this motor up to where I can slide the belt off and then do whatever I want to do with the belt, put the new belt on, and then come back and release the motor. So I want to build some kind of go-kart inspired shifter lifter, I'm going to call it. And it's probably going to attach to the frame down here and have some sort of a shift up. So let's get to that right now. When I first made this table, everybody kind of made fun of me for putting slots and holes in it, but this is a perfect example of why I wanted this, to be able to poke things right through the center. So keep that in mind when you're building yours. This is what I call the shifter lifter. This is by far the simplest thing I came up with. I have about 12 different ideas on how to do this, but really just push down, the belt slacks off, and the belt comes off, and then you're able to leave it there, put a new belt on. It's pretty simple. And then just pick back up on the lever, and now the weight of the motor is doing all the work again, and we're back in business. It works just like a cam on a camshaft in a car. When you push down, it just lifts up, and because it's at the top dead center of this cam, it really doesn't want to go anywhere. It's pretty stable. It needs some mechanical force to be able to push it down or up. What I want to do next is tackle this extension rod for the belt tracking. This is just temporary, but I want it to be tall and have the same size hex cap as the rest of the machine. I also want it to resemble the handle of a screwdriver. This is a 5/8 fine thread on a 3/4 rod, and I'm inspired by the rest of the nuts and bolts on the machine, so we turn the screwdriver handle on the end, and this just threads into this threaded hole that I have on the end of this flexure plate for the motor mount. And all this is doing is that it's just increasing, with every twist of this, it's just increasing the distance that these two plates have on each other. It's pretty easy to turn by hand. Now we can just track the belt from here. We need to go up or down and just twist the handle a little bit. Let's move on to the fender guard on top of the wheel. Because this tire has never been tested before on a belt grinder, I kind of want to make this fender kind of structurally overkill. So I don't want to use a piece of sheet metal. I want to use a piece of heavy gauge metal, something in the 1/8 inch range. So that's going to be a little tricky to work with. And plus, I want this thing to have some style. I want this thing to look like it's a fender off of a car or a motorcycle, and build it within means here I have in the shop. So I think we should tackle this problem next. We got all the parts cut for this fender. The next step is we need to fabricate it and roll the body, but this is 10 gauge plate, so I don't have a way in the shop to actually roll it nicely in the shape that I want. But my buddy Reid, he's got all the sweet tools, and he just happens to have the roller to be able to do this. So let's go up to Reid's place and see if he can give us a hand to roll this plate. All right, we've made it to Reid's place. He's gonna help me roll this piece of fender material. This is, I think, what, 1/8 inch plate. That's what's the beauty about what Reid's built here, is this cute little, what is this, 1 foot, Reid? 14 inches about, slip roller or sheet roller, and most of the ones you can purchase are only good for up to like 16 gauge, which is junk. So Reid made his own, and what we're gonna do is he's gonna roll this plate for me close to this template, which is this bracket's gonna bolt to the side of the grinder. So let's just get this thing done and off we go.
Okay, here we go.
We're one step closer to getting this thing running by getting this fender installed. I think it turned out pretty slick. I really didn't want just a piece of flat rolled sheet metal, so by adding this little flare, it kind of mimics the sidewall profile of the tire, which I really like. Building this out of 1/8 inch plate, I feel safe enough to be able to stand in front of it. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. The belt still slides off the end of the tire real easy. Function first and then looks second. So it works out pretty slick. Just be able to throw the belt on. Just like that. And then dropping it down. Pretty sweet, huh? The belt is going to be flinging sparks everywhere off this machine. I want to find some way to collect all this mess that this thing's going to be generating. So I want to build some sort of little cart on some wheels or a bucket to collect all this material. So we should build that now. The original idea was to actually put a 5-gallon bucket under this thing to probably trap a lot of the swarf that's going to come off the belt grinder, but you know how that ends up happening. Someone's going to grab it and it's going to end up missing. So having this custom fitted trash can sitting here to collect all the junk, I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to funnel everything down inside here because of this guard slash deflector, and then I have the back up pretty high past the center line to hopefully keep and trap a lot of the junk inside this bucket and just empty it out occasionally whenever it starts to get somewhat full. So I think this will really help keep the shop cleaner, and I won't have to worry about tracking swarf everywhere all over the shop. So I think it's a good modification. On to the next problem. The one thing I have had to purchase for this build is this eBay variable frequency drive, which is right here. I'm going to pull it out of the box. This VFD is pretty easy to control, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, the problem is I got to hang this thing off the side of this belt grinder. So I need to come up with some sort of universal mount that's going to be welded to the side of here. So maybe they're going to have packs of cigarette-sized VFDs in the future. We never know. But we want to design this mount to be able to accommodate for different sized drives. But also, I'm going to want to put a light on this belt grinder at some point in time. So I'm going to design it to where I can add some attachments to this mount. So let's get to it. I love this design, it's super clean. So I can slide the VFD in and out on the rods if I want a little more room or a little more accessibility, who knows what. I kind of pondered over this quite a bit, what to do. I thought about just welding a plate on the side of the machine or a piece of angle iron, making it super easy, but the more I got to thinking, if this VFD were ever to go out, that I might want to change it with something else. So I kind of wanted to put this universal mount on here. Kind of like a Picatinny rail on an AR-15. You can slide different accessories onto these. I plan on maybe putting a light potentially or a camera mount also on this machine. So I'll be able to make another one of these brackets and just slide it over the end and add whatever I want. It's got a quick change little knob here to be able to clamp onto it and slide it off or slide it on the machine. So I can move it closer. Like that, or slide it to the end. There you go, something like that. You can slide it over. Now I got another clamp to be able to mount an accessory onto this rail. Can you believe I've assembled this whole machine from just parts that have been laying around in the shop? I think it's been pretty incredible, with the only exception of the VFD. I wonder what else we got laying around the shop for future projects. We're gonna have to explore this some more. This has been pretty fun. But we got all the fabrication done on the grinder, so the next time you're gonna see this thing, we're gonna run it. If you guys wanna see more Reids shop, I have a shop tour that I'll link in the description below. Please like, comment, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll catch you on the next one.